If you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by portrait photography, or just at a loss of what to focus on to take you to that next level, then come hang with me. I help guide portrait photographers just like you to stay clear and sharp in camera and with your goals. I'm your host, photographer, educator, and weirdly positive mama for Emily Supio. And this is the Stay Focused podcast. Photography advice to help you stay focused. Well, hey everyone, it's Emily, and as always, thank you so much for pressing play on today's episode of the Stay Focused podcast. We are going to tackle a subject today that has affected each and every single photographer out there. Yes, I'm going to be that bold when I make that statement that every single photographer out there has been affected by what we are going to talk about today. And if they say they're not, I'm going to call you out and think you're lying a little bit. So what we're going to talk about today is comparison. This is big. Do you ever catch yourself looking at someone else's work, and at first maybe you know it's really a gorgeous photo and you love it and you can recognize the talent of that photographer. You know it's a good photographer. You know it's a great picture. But then this feeling starts creeping up. It's not a good feeling. It's uneasy, maybe bad. Maybe you don't want to recognize it at all. It's kind of like jealousy or envy, or maybe just sadness, or a little bit of self-doubt, or a mix of all of those things in some level. Okay, you know what I'm talking about, right? Whatever it is, whatever that feeling is, I don't know if there's a specific name for it that I can pinpoint, but whatever it is, it's not a great feeling, right? Because what you've done is you've caught yourself in such an incredibly unfortunate trap of comparing yourself to others. And that's what we're going to talk about on the show today. And I wanted to start out with that bold statement of saying every photographer out there does this, because they do. I want you to know that you're not alone. These feelings that maybe you've had before, these self-doubt feelings, these comparison feelings, it happens to everybody. And there's a reason why. And we're going to talk about that on the show today. But I also don't just want to leave you hanging. I don't just want to say, hey, you feel this way, sorry about your luck. I want to actually go through and talk about some of the things that you can do and we can do as photographers and a photography community that will help with these feelings and help get us past that so that we can reach our goals. We can move forward with our photography skills so that we don't quit altogether, right? Because sometimes it makes us feel like we want to just quit. Okay, so I promised we're going to dive into that in just a few minutes, but this is the part of the show where we get some of the housekeeping out of the way, especially for those of you who are new to the show. So if you are, welcome. Actually, welcome if you've been listening to the show for the past few years too, but I appreciate you all being here. And if you could take a second and head over to iTunes and hit that subscribe button, I would be so appreciative. And if you do like the show and would stick around over on YouTube, on iTunes, and leave a quick rating and review for the show, that would make me 10 times happier too. So thank you very much for all of your support. Second, if you are newer to photography and you're still a little confused by manual mode and not getting focus all the time, I want to invite you to my 1-hour free online class, the 4-step framework to confidently shooting beautiful portraits. You can register for that by going to cozyclicks.com/framework. Now, if you are new to the show, the Cozy Clicks online photography school, which you can find at cozyclicks.com, is the hub to the Stay Focused podcast. It is part of this podcast. So you'll hear me referencing the Cozy Click site many times throughout the show. You'll also find the direct links wherever you are listening. So if you are on iTunes right now, Spotify, if you are listening on the blog itself or on YouTube, you can click any of the links we talk about in today's show right in the description below, and it will take you right there. All right, let's get back to the show. So I had this idea for today's episode because I was talking with one of my students inside of the Cozy Clicks community. And we were talking about shooting questions, and some of my students had some Photoshop questions, and we were working through some fundamental things. And then one of my students typed in a question which really stopped me for a second. She said, I'm really thinking about moving toward charging for my work and maybe even starting a small business, but I am so afraid that my work isn't comparable to other people in my town. How do you ever get past this? And this question is a lot deeper than just the how-to type questions. And it kind of hit me when I read that, because I have felt that way before too. And I know so many people feel that way. And so we address this within our community, but I thought that it needed to be addressed on a much, much bigger level. And so that's why I wanted to, create a whole episode about this too, because I think that it's really going to connect with you and, just really relate to so many of us out there. So first and foremost, yes, I'm tripping over my tongue here, but I absolutely felt that way in the beginning. I can remember when I was first, playing around with my dad's camera that I had borrowed and taking pictures of my kids and thinking about how cool it would be to make some money, to start a business. And I remember getting online and going through some of the photographers' websites from my town. So I'm in Phoenix right now. So I remember I would type in like Phoenix family photographer, Phoenix children's photographers, and I would click through the first few sites. And I remember looking at the pictures on their sites and just thinking like, I just am not going to get there. Like, I'm never going to have work that looks like that. They must have been doing this for 20 years. Like, I remember that feeling, and I can remember going, page by page, site by site, and just thinking, okay, yeah, this isn't me. I can't do this. So if you have done that before, and I'm sure you have compared yourself to others, I want you to know that one, we all do it. Even those photographers whose pages I was looking at, they probably did the same thing I was doing at some point. So I want you to kind of put that in perspective when you start comparing your work to other photographers, that they did it too. And I'm going back to that bold statement I made right at the beginning of the episode that every single photographer does it. So if that gives you a little more ease in your head that we all do it, then hopefully that helps a little bit. But yes, we all do that. We all compare our work. At some point we have, okay? But this is what I want you to know, okay? You will be that good. You will most definitely be as good as you want to be. You will reach your photography goals. You will get there. And when you stop comparing yourself to others and start feeling proud, start feeling happy and grateful for everything you've accomplished up to this point, that is the biggest game changer right there. Okay, you will start to see a change in your photos. I promise you. So if you missed what I just said right there, if I went too fast or if you suddenly started daydreaming a little bit, I want to repeat that again for you. So when you stop comparing yourself, and I know that's hard, but instead of comparing, this is what I want you to do. Be proud, be grateful, be happy for what you have accomplished. When you can do that, that's when things will start to change. So how do you do that, right? You're probably like, yeah, that's all great. I would love to do that, right? But I keep falling back in this trap. It just seems like a cycle. It just keeps going and going. Like I'll feel good and I'll feel happy, and then I'll look at someone else's work, or I'll see someone posting, about all of their clients or whatever it is. Okay. But this is what I want you to do, because we will get those feelings, and you got to catch yourself. You got to catch yourself ahead of time, or just stay ahead of it. Stay ahead of those feelings by always remembering the grateful feelings about your work and your journey. So what I want you to do to stop comparing is to start comparing yourself to yourself. Did you hear that? Stop comparing to others and start comparing yourself to yourself. So I want you to do things like think about how far you've come. And you can do this either when you start to feel those comparison feelings or those self-doubt feelings, but it's better to kind of make this a little routine for yourself and get out ahead of it before it even happens. Because the more you can remind yourself when you're feeling good and not always trying to do this when you feel bad, then the more it's just going to feel natural to you. So I want you to think about how far you've come. And we can do this as a little exercise right now too. I want you to think about when you very first got your camera. Think about the pictures that you took when you just cracked it out of the box. Think about that first picture that you took, or those feelings of not having a clue at all how to use it, to where you're at now. Like, that's pretty cool, right? And even if you've just cracked it out of the box yesterday, I'm sure you're already starting to get a little bit better than you were yesterday, right? Or I want you to think now, maybe not since you first got your camera, but let's just think about this week. Let's think about the pictures that you took in the beginning of the week or 7 days ago, okay? Because I'm not sure what day of the week you're listening to this episode, but let's think about 7 days ago. Like, what pictures were you taking 7 days ago, and what have you done during the week to see improvements? Have you taken a picture that was sharper? Have you learned a little bit about light, or the way the light hit a picture that you really liked or maybe didn't like, so you can learn from that? Like, there's a lot of things that we can learn on from a week alone. Or think in the past month or past 6 months for those of you who have been at it even longer. Like, how much has your work grown? It hasn't gotten worse, right? You can only get better. So if you're constantly just reminding yourself of your progress, of how much you're learning, and again, do this before those feelings creep up. If those feelings of self-doubt start creeping up, then I definitely want you to do this. I want you to think about how much progress you've made. But the key is getting out ahead of it and getting out ahead of these feelings before they even happen. And you can do that by just always reminding yourself of your progress, being happy, being just grateful for all that you have accomplished up to this point. Now, you should feel pretty good when you think back and see the change in your photos. Not just in your photos, but think of your confidence. Like, think back and think of the change in your confidence. Think of when you first started and you were completely confused to where now you have at least a little bit more knowledge, right? Think back to photography and your pictures as a journey, and think of it as just a way to have fun along the way, right? Photography and successful photographers, it's not about perfect pictures, and it's not about how many clients you have, and it's not about, making $100,000 a year. Success in photography comes when you are happy and you're having fun and you enjoy doing it. So if those feelings are present right now and you're having a great time and you're happy and you're excited to get it out and you're looking forward to trying something new, you are successful. That is success in photography. And that is definitely a great reason to be happy, right? A great reason to just celebrate you. So listen, with all of that said, I know it's hard. Okay, I know firsthand it's hard because I have felt the feelings of comparison myself. I have felt the feelings of self-doubt. Every photographer has, again, going back to that bold statement, each and every one of us. So I want you to know that you are not alone at all. We have all felt this way. So the next time you start feeling those feelings, I want you to think about how happy you are on your journey and how much you have come. And it is definitely okay to look at other photographers' work, but instead of comparing your work, I want you to be inspired by theirs. Put a big smile on your face and think, wow, that photographer really came a long way. That photographer has really worked hard and done cool things to move forward in their journey. I am looking forward to what I can do. So don't get caught in that comparison trap. So remember that it's okay to admire someone else's beauty and not question your own. Okay, I want to say that again because I really like that. It's okay to admire someone else's beauty without questioning your own. So just because another photographer has taken a beautiful photo does not make your photography or your photos any less great. Okay? So you've got this. This journey and photography is meant to be fun. It's meant to put a smile on our face. It's meant to put a smile on other people's face, the people that we're taking pictures of, right? So have fun with your journey. And if you are listening to this right now, it's probably because you needed to hear some of these things. And again, I can't keep repeating myself enough today and letting you all know that you are not alone and that we all feel this way at some point, but just keep at it, keep going. You've got this, okay? I promise. All right, and if you are feeling like you just need a little confidence or you're just not quite there yet, or you just wish you could learn something a little more about focus or manual mode, please come join me in my free 1-hour online class. You can register for that at cozyclicks.com/framework. I would love to have you there. I'll teach you some things that you will be able to apply that can kind of push you forward in your photography journey. But again, I so much appreciate you all for listening today, for tuning in. The Stay Focused podcast is on every Wednesday, so make sure that you have subscribed to the podcast so that you don't miss any of the episodes that are coming up, because we'll be back again next week. But until then, here's to staying in focus, in camera, and with your goals. Bye, you guys.